In this video, we are going to be creating a Power BI report from end to end. We're going to be using a case study using Ford Motor Company. That's right, we're going to be using a case study using Ford Motor Company. Listen, here's the deal, totally transparent with you. None of this data that we're going to be using for Ford is going to be actual Ford data. It is simply data that myself and my team have created in order to simulate data that would normally be used or could be used inside of an organization such as Ford Motor Company. But before we get started, a little house cleaning. Hey, like this video, subscribe to this channel. That's right, like this video, subscribe to this channel. And here's the deal as well. Scan the QR code and join our community. Scan the QR code and join our community. All you gotta do is scan the QR code, follow the link, and input your email address, and you will be welcomed into our community. What do you get when you join our community? What you get is, you get a lot of free stuff. One is the free weekly newsletter. Two, Thursday webinar. I do a weekly webinar every Thursday, 7:30 to 9 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. That's right, I do a free webinar every Thursday, 7:30 p.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. Only those that are in the community are invited. In addition to, I do several live events around the country throughout the year, and you will be given information to where you will be able to participate in the live events. Now, I'll tell you this, the live events are sometimes free, and the live events are sometimes as a small nominal fee. But for no other reason, you as a member of the community, you will be able to participate in the live events. Also, we have a Power BI job portal only for Power BI. Not only is it for Power BI, it's only for Power BI, and it's only provided to the members of our community. So for nothing else, nothing less, you should want to join our free community in order to get access to our free Power BI job portal. With all of that said, let's jump right into our Power BI report for the day. Welcome back to another Power Money Monday. Welcome back to another Power Money Monday. So here's the deal, another Power Money Monday with Power BI. And here's the deal. As always, I like to teach this class. I like to show this video, whatever you want to call it, with a Fortune 500 company. The reason why I like to go with Fortune 500 companies is because those are companies that you already know about. Those are companies that you already know about or you have some familiarity with. I tried to use that word and I tried to say it the right way. Familiarity. Yeah, familiarity. Those are companies you already have some familiarity with, so you don't have to try to figure out learning Power BI and learning about the company and trying to make sure that you got the right information. So, with that said, today's company that we are going to go with that we're learning about today is going to be Ford Motor Company. So, as always, before we get started, what I like to do is definitely let you guys know I do not work for Ford Motor Company. I am not a contractor for Ford Motor Company. I am not a consultant for Ford Motor Company. This is a company that I just picked out the air, picked randomly as a Fortune 500 company that I know that people have some familiarity with, and that's the company that I decided to go with in order to teach this class on Power BI, teach this lesson on Power BI. So with that said, I do not own stock, I don't think. No, I don't. I don't own any stock in Ford Motor Company. So here's the deal. What I like to do is I like to teach how to research the company that you're going to be working with or working for, consulting with, or however you want to call it. The reason why I like to do that is because that is real world. Many times you're going to be on a project, or especially as a consultant, you could be on a project and you may not know anything about the company. Well, I like to use Fortune 500 companies because they're easy to research. We can go over to their website. Well, one, we already have some familiarity with them, so we know kind of, what we might want to see within that organization. But you kind of may be thrown off a little bit because you're not necessarily within that organization and don't necessarily know exactly what they would want to see from a business standpoint. So I like to use companies that we already know about, so we can go to their websites and we can research the website, get a little bit more, kind of like, you really don't know anything about the company, hypothetically, you don't know anything about the company. So you go into the website, you're doing some research, you get some idea of who the company is, what the company's about, what the company does, right? At the end of the day. And in your mind, you can start generating some ideas as to what type of, visualizations you may want to see within this particular Power BI report or within the Power BI report that you're creating. So again, I want to reiterate, I do not own any shares of Ford. I do not work for Ford. I do not consult from Ford. I'm not a contractor for Ford. I simply picked Ford because it is a Fortune 500 company, and I chose to use Ford for today's topic of discussion. Now, with that said, let's dig into this thing. The first thing that we can do, and it's definitely not the only thing that you can do, because, of course, you already know, I, have several different basic means of research. I have several different basic means of research that I like to do before. Let me come right back now. Sorry, but they had a little call. Had a little call from us. Yeah. Anyway, so my apologies. That's what we get when we're recording in real time. So let me send a text message real quick because that could have been important. Okay, so sorry again. Lost my train of thought. Anyway, I like to use Fortune 500 companies that we know about because they're easy for us to gain information on. Primarily a website, primarily stock information, primarily investor information. Easy information to grab, easy research, but we're not spending all of our time trying to go into building a website and understanding the financial information and the stock report and the 10K and the 10Q. Just for the simple fact that we're here creating Power BI reports. We want to get in, we want to understand what's going on, we want to get out of there, and we want to start building this Power BI report. You understand? So here we go. We are over on the Ford website. Simple, Ford.com. You already know, it's pretty simple, pretty easy to get to, Ford.com. So I am just hypothetically, I don't know anything about this company, so I'm just gonna go to the website and see, what this company is about. It's Ford.com, so I see, okay, it must be an automotive company. Either they sell cars or car parts. So employee pricing, what does that mean to me? I don't know. I'm just gonna go through the homepage real quick. They got trucks, so it could be a truck company, probably a truck company, Ford Field, Detroit. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay, so this company here, they're probably sponsors of they've got to be major sponsors of the Detroit Lions football team. Does that have anything to do with the business? Not sure yet. So, let's just dig on through here. The power is yours. What does that mean? Choose your power: gas, eco, hybrid, electric, and diesel. So we're definitely talking about automobiles now because we're talking about the cars that are good for the ecosystem. Hybrid cars, electric cars, and diesel cars, or hybrid trucks, electric trucks. We'll just say automobiles, right? So we know we're dealing with an automobile company. Here we go. Now I see Ford. Okay, they create a car called a Mustang. They create a truck called the Bronco, and they create a pickup truck called the F-150. Got it. Okay. So that makes sense to me. So I know, their product line is dealing with automobiles. They've got several models that we're looking at here, being the Mustang, the Bronco, and the F-150. Let's just click on the Mustang. Let's see if anything happens here. Let's see, explore the Mustang. Okay, so we've got the Mustang, $31,000, $464 a month. Now again, I am not promoting Ford. I am not saying go out and buy a Ford. Have I bought a Ford before? Have I owned a Ford before? Yes, I have owned a Ford. Just want to put that out there. But You know, this is not about going out and buying a car or buying a Ford. This is simply a Power BI report. Let's see, adrenaline chasers. So they're saying, okay, if you buy these models and the model is a Mustang, again, it's the model is a Mustang GT Premium, $47,380, $692 a month. You can make your own car here. You can make your own Mustang by colorizer, accelerated performance, design. So I guess this is the old school Mustang here. This is the new version of the Mustang. Okay, got it. Now let's see, crafted, ignite. So what we do know is that the Mustang is a model. So we're talking about different models that are created by Ford. Looks like, so the Mustang, let's go back to the, let's see, I think it was, what was the other? So we're still in the Mustang. Let's go back one. The Bronco, let's explore the Bronco. So say the Bronco is 39,630, 418 horsepower. We could do visualizations on price. We could do visualizations on horsepower. The monthly pricing is $477 per month. I don't know what this pricing, I don't know what the monthly is based on. I don't know if that's based on credit, if that's based on a down payment or what. But again, we're just getting information for the report for the website, not necessarily trying to go out and buy this car. So we got the model again here. I guess this is called the Outer Banks. The price is $47,940, $560 per month. Let's see, okay, so what we didn't do in the Mustang, we'll go back and look at that as well. It looks like there is, the models of the Bronco is an Outer Banks, starting at $47,940. The Heritage Edition, starting at $48,555. The Badlands is $50,095. The Everglades, it's $55,520, $683 a month. The Wild Track is $60,225 at $771 a month. The Heritage Limited is $69,685 at $873 a month. And the Raptor is $90,035 at $1171 a month. So you got the model, which is the Bronco, and then you've got the models within the types of models within the Bronco. So definitely understanding the different models, knowing that the company that we're working with here is Ford and they have different models. I don't want to sign up for that. And we're going to go back and I want to see what the different models are within the Mustang as well. So we're going to go back to explore the Mustang. And it's 31,920 as a starting, but let's see, were there different versions of the Mustang like that? Yeah. So this is what I didn't get a chance to, what I really didn't pay attention to initially. We've got the EcoBoost for the Mustang, which is 31,920, $464 a month. The EcoBoost Premium, 37,445, $537 a month. The EcoBoost Convertible, 40,020, $609 a month. EcoBoost Premium Convertible, 42,945, $651 a month. And then we got a lot of versions of within the Mustang family. We got the GT Fastback, 42,860 at $630 a month. GT Premium Fastback, 47,380, $692 a month. The GT Premium Convertible, okay, 52,880, $786 a month. The Dark Horse, they call it the Dark Horse, but it's a white car. That's kind of funny. Is $60,635, $863 a month. And the Dark Horse Premium, now that's a beast. Dark Horse Premium, $64,630, $918 a month. So these are the different models within the Mustang family. Not sure if these are all the models within the Mustang family. Not sure if those are all the models within the Bronco family. But those are the different models within those two families. Then we're going to look at the F-150. Going to explore the F-150. And we see it starts at $37,065, $522 a month. And we know that there's probably families within the F-150 family. So now what I want to do is go down, look at the models of the F-150. There's the XL. The XL is $37,065 at $522 a month. The STX is $44,100 at $581 a month. The XLT is $47,830 at $627 a month. The Tremor is $64,450 at $863 a month. The Lariat is $65,495 at $773 a month. The King Ranch is $73,945, $868 a month. The Platinum is $73,945 at $868 a month. And the Raptor for the F-150, we saw that there was a Raptor for the Bronco as well, and it is $78,540 at $1,098 a month. So we do know, or we have some idea, is the Raptor is the ultimate name or the ultimate model of the Ford trucks. So if you get a Raptor, or if you're looking at a Raptor, you know that the Raptor is what appears to be top of the line when it comes to the Ford trucks. Again, I am not pushing Ford. I do not sell Ford. I do not work for Ford. We're just going through here doing some quick research. And of course, when we're talking about an automobile company, the first thing that we think of when it comes to automobiles is how much does it cost? How much does it cost? The next thing is how much is it per month? So that's why I am jumping straight into, what is the cost? What is it per month? Creating the Power BI report. Creating the Power BI report, we will see that the report that the prices that we're looking at may be the cost of the automobile, or we may even want to evaluate how much money per month that the company is making per month, or how much per month the company may be making based on the cost per month and what taxes look like, stuff like that. We may look at that, we may not look at that, not quite sure, not totally sure on that, but at least we know now that we're talking about automobiles. We could be talking about colors of automobiles, we could be talking about the sales of automobiles, we could be talking about the total sales of the automobile, we can be talking about the monthly payment or the monthly revenue of the automobiles, we could be talking about the interest that we're earning on the automobiles, we could be talking about the location that the automobiles are being sold in, we could be talking about the number of customers that buy automobiles within a certain city or within a certain state or within a certain region. We can be talking about the number of models that are being sold, the number of models of Mustangs, the number of models of Broncos, the count of models of F-150s that are being sold within a certain city, within a certain state, within a certain region. These are different ideas that I'm getting now, coming up with that I can see it could be good visualizations for a Power BI report. So that's kind of why we go through the website to see, what does this company do? How is this company making money? So now we know that the company is primarily about automobiles. They have a shop. Let's see. Do we want to talk shop? What's in the shop? It says build and price. I don't want to build it. I don't want to go through all that. And so we're not necessarily trying to buy, but we're just going through here and we see that we can build our own automobile. We have a pretty good idea what that looks like. Support and service, support home. What does that mean? Help you today, support topics, order payments, vehicles, technology, other resources. So under the support topics, if we go to support home, we could have visualizations talking about hands-free driving, connected services, scheduled services, how many use the app, home chargers, public charging. We could have visualizations there. I don't think we'll go that deep into visualizations for that here in this Power BI report. But for servicing, we could have visualizations for servicing that are on orders and payments, check order status, my accounts, Ford credit, you know, how many customers that are buying Ford vehicles from a particular dealership needs to have their credit run, how many were denied, how many were accepted, how many were approved, I guess, the vehicle recalls, the maintenance schedule, how many vehicles are coming in on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays for maintenance, how many vehicles are being recalled for maintenance, being recalled because of a specific issue. All of these things are items that I can see us visualizing for, we're creating visualizations for a Power BI report. Technology, what type of technology does each one of the vehicles, does each one of the models have? Pairing the phone, keyless entry, software updates, is everything provided in all of the vehicles or in just specific particular vehicles? And if so, are you getting more sales based on the technology that's within a vehicle or a model, or are you getting less sales? Are you getting the same amount of sales? Are the sales increased by state or region or by zip code, or are sales about the same across the board when it comes to percentages? You know, those are the things that we could be looking for when it comes to creating the visualizations for a Power BI report. So with that said, we are now going to move over into looking at the investor relations part of the website to see what the investors are looking at what the investors are concerned with, or what the company is concerned with the investors having information for, or what the SEC is being required to be shared with the general public of those that are investors in Ford Motor Company. Just came back over to Ford.com. And I do not want to sign up for that or do a survey. So I'm just back over at Ford.com, just gonna scroll down. Typically the investor information is at the bottom of the homepage. Well, sometimes you can find the investor information at the top of the website, but more often than not, you're gonna be able to find it at the bottom of the homepage. And typically it's under the title of Investor Relations. So here I see we have 2024 F-150, shop, finance. Let's see, it's probably under finance. We have Investor Center. We don't have Investor Relations. We've got Investor Center. So let's see what that looks like. We scroll down on the Investor Center page. We've got Ford Interest Advantage, asset-backed securitization, I guess, sustainable financing. SEC filings is what we're looking for is here. Company earnings, we could go to the company earnings to get some information about the report about the company. But for the most part, we're not trying to get too deep into company earnings and all that kind of stuff. And even with the investor page, with the annual report, we're not trying to get too deep into the annual report. We just are trying to get some basic information. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. Why is it not letting me go back? Let's see. Let's go back to home. For some reason, wouldn't let me back out. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Reports and filings. That'll get me there. So quarterly reports, select the year 2025. Let's choose an annual report. We really shouldn't have an annual report for this year yet, but it's probably for last year. Annual filings. So we see we got the 10K that was out. That I guess the date was February 6th, but definitely had to be for last year. Just to recap real quick, the two filing reports that we look at here at Power of the BI is the annual report and the quarterly report. The annual report is the 10K, the quarterly report is the 10Q. The annual report is the 10K, the quarterly report is the 10Q. Typically, the SEC, which is the Security and Exchange Commission, requires that a publicly traded company, and a publicly traded company is a company that you can buy. You can go to the NASDAQ or to the, that you can buy publicly, that you can buy stocks from. You can buy stocks in the company from an exchange, right? So if you can buy stocks in the company, that means that it's a publicly traded company, and the Security and Exchange Commission pretty much governs those entities that allow people to buy stocks into their companies. With that said, the Security and Exchange Commission requires that those companies report to them 4 times a year. Once every quarter, which would be the first quarter, the second quarter, and the third quarter. Which will be the first quarter, the second quarter, and the third quarter. Let's see here. Which will be the first quarter, the second quarter, and the third quarter. And basically, there's one other quarter, which is the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter would be the annual report. The fourth quarter would be the annual report. Now, the quarterly reports, those reports are not, I don't believe those reports have to be audited, and they're not in the detail that the annual report. The annual report is in great detail, and it has to be audited by an outside entity that before it's provided to the SEC. So with that, the quarterly reports don't necessarily have to be April, May, and June, or January, February, March. I mean, however the company breaks up their annual year, that's how as long as it's broken up into 3 months, that's what their reporting status or reporting time frame would be. So in the very basic scheme, April, May, January, February, March is a first quarter. April, May, June is a second quarter. July, August, September is a third quarter. October, November, December is a fourth quarter. But your quarter could start in March, and it'd be March, April, May could be your first quarter. June, July, August could be your second quarter. As long as you have a standard routine. I'm not exactly sure of how what the rules are when it comes to the SEC. If you set up a quarterly time period, can you change the time period? I don't know. Not sure. But that's what that looks like. Typically here at Power of the BI, when we're doing Power Money Mondays, typically we will be using either the 10Q or the 10K, and more often than not, we'll be using a 10K report. So since we're at the top of the year, top of 2025, the 10K report that's being reported is not for 2025, it's a 2024 report. But at the end of the day, what we're using this for is research. We're not using this to create any type of filing situations or anything formal, and not necessarily even having to report to the SEC. We're just getting information from what's inside of the filings to see if there is anything that we need to be aware of. Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Just had a little sidetrack going on. Anyway, we're going to go through the filings through this report real quick. Not necessarily to try to dissect it, but just to get an idea of what Ford does and what Ford is producing from an investor standpoint. So we see we're looking at the 2024 annual report, fixed income presentations. And let's see here. February, fixed income presentations, quarterly results, SEC filings. It's got a Form 10. Okay, let's see if we go. Here we go. See if we can make this a little bigger. Yeah. Here we go. So we're just gonna scroll through just to see what's going on here. If you've gone through any of the reports or you've watched any of the other videos in which we've had class, you will see that most of the 10Ks and 10Qs are very similar in their filing. And the way that those reports are built, the way that they're set up, their organization. So, you know, we know the information at the top of the report probably is not something that we're going to spend a whole lot of time on. Ford Blue segment. Ford Blue primarily indicates the sale of Ford and Lincoln internal combustion engine. Is that something that we want to kind of note as far as a visualization factor? Maybe, maybe not. Ford Model E segment. Ford Model E primarily includes the sale of our electric vehicles and service parts, accessories. So a model that we could, within a model that we could be looking at is the electric car. We know that when we looked at the website, there was the F-150, there was the Bronco, there was the Mustang, but there seems to be maybe even an electric model for those models as well, or maybe just one, not necessarily sure. We'll scroll through, we'll see what else is here. The Ford Pro segment. Ford Pro primarily indicates the sale of Ford and Lincoln vehicle service, parts, accessories, and services for commercial and government. So again, cars that we're selling to cars that they're selling to the government is something else that we may want to take a look at or create or have models for. Well, not models, but visualizations. Let's see, wholesale unit volumes, margin and profit. We may get into profit and margin and revenue and expenses, but probably not. I mean, that's more for a report that we would do on the finance and accounting end, but we are not necessarily going to be doing balance statements and balance sheets and income statements and stuff like that. But, you know, we could have some profit and margin. Just depends on, you know, what data we come up with. Wholesales. You know, wholesales, we're looking at wholesales within certain countries, and I would say that these would probably be regions. The United States, China, Canada, United Kingdom, Germany, Turkey, Italy, Australia, France, and other markets. So these would be the regions that that wholesale, for the wholesale segments, selling wholesale models within those areas. And then it's not, we may run up on it, but we may run up on it in here and we may not. But another region, which is probably more specific to what we're talking about, would be regions within the United States. The different states within the United States, the different cities within the United States, different counties within the United States. Those are other regions that we could break sales and different types of other visualizations out would break out visualizations to show different types of sales and other visuals. Let's see, electric vehicles, hybrid vehicles, international internal combustion vehicles. Those are different vehicle types that we could be looking at or analyzing when we are creating our Power BI reports. Corporate, other, interest on debt, government standards, U.S. vehicle emissions. So what I'm doing here now is I'm just going through trying to see what is in the annual report that may stick out, that may be a type of visual that could be created or needs to be created or would be good to be created for some organization within Ford Motor Company. Global vehicle emissions standards, and fuel economy. So we could have data on the emissions for different vehicles, and whether it's good or bad. I think the lower the emissions, the better. The lower the emissions, the better. So we're just going to scroll through. We're just trying to see what sticks out. The annual report, unless you're really getting into so vehicle safety is something else. How many accidents are reported for a vehicle, the recall value of a vehicle, the recall number of a vehicle. Unless we're really getting into the financial end of a company, you may not use a whole lot of information from the annual report, but the more you can get into the report, the more you can get out of the financial report, the more you'll know about the company, the better you'll feel about the data that you're trying to go locate when you go out to the database to bring that data in. Talent attraction, growth, capability assessment, that could be good for an HR standpoint. Let's see, employee sentiment strategy, employment data. Again, now we're talking about data that could be good from an HR standpoint. So this could be data that would be good for visualizations for Ford Motor Company, for their human resource department. So just going through here, just not necessarily trying to grab a whole lot, just trying to get an idea of, what they have in here, comparing it to what we already looked at on the website. And this information is a good tie because it's a tie between the website and the financial information that we would look at on the stock end. So, again, we're not trying to be financial reporters. We're not trying to be certified financial planners. We're not trying to be CPAs. We're just trying to be good stewards of data and understanding, what a company could be looking for its ability to maintain competitive cost, for its ability to attract, develop, grow, support. We may need this information. We may not need this information. So I'm just going through here. I'm going to speed it up just a little bit because there's a lot of information in here and we're not necessarily trying to get all of this information, but you kind of get where I'm coming from. You get where I'm going. Don't necessarily want to spend too much time trying to figure out, what's all in this annual report or what's all in this 10Q or this 10K. We just want to see, get basic information of what's going on within Ford. We got some basic information for a customer from the website standpoint. Now we're getting basic information for Ford from an investor standpoint, using the Investor Center or Investor Relations. Of course, in this particular case, they're calling it Investor Center here using Ford. Let's see, cybersecurity strategy and risk management. There could be data out there on cybersecurity and risk management. Not necessarily sure, but if we can jot that down, we can write it down, we can take a note, we can go through the database and pulling out the tables, then we can see if there's information out there that we want to use. Product liability matters. Of course, product liability matters. Asbestos matters. Of course, asbestos matters. Consumer matters. So all of this is information that's good for investor relations, the Investor Center. We're not going to spend too much time trying to beat the dead horse. Here we go. Here we are looking at executive officers within the organization. Very seldom, probably more often than not, we're not going to be creating visualizations on those executive officers. We're not going to be trying to figure out how much money they make, how many vacations they take, what their packages look like, and none of that. We're doing visualizations on the actual organizations, the actual organization itself, not on the individuals. We're getting into sales and shares and all of that kind of stuff. So now we're looking at shares and purchases and the price of stock, and we'll go a little bit more into stock price here in a second. But here in the annual report, we're looking at shares purchase, paid cost, average price per share. I thought it was kind of wild, average price per share to be $10.81 for Ford. I mean, I really value Ford a lot more than just $10.81. But I mean, if that's the price, that is what it is. I'm not sure. And again, I don't own any Ford, so not necessarily totally sure about what that looks like. But we'll look at stock price here very shortly. Going through, we see here we're dealing with the regions again, restructuring the region, restructuring by geography, and of course geography is always going to be a region. Europe, North America, China, and then other would be regions. And then different types of models or other items, the EV and the Transit Connect, EV program, dispute. These are just items that are popping out at me, not anything that we've just got to use. I know when I see GAAP, we're talking about accounting. I think that's generally accepted accounting principles. Again, we're not going to be creating any balance sheets or income statements, anything like that, financial statements. But for those companies that do decide to start using Power BI as a financial, to manage their financial organizations, the automation within those organizations are going to be off the chain. So let's see here, wholesale, Ford Blue segment. We talked about Ford Blue earlier, and now we're looking at the finance end of Ford Blue, being the wholesale revenue, EBITDA. So, you know, again, we're not going to be creating those reports here in this class. So I'm going to skim on through here. So here we go. At the end of the day, we've looked at the website. We've looked at data. We've looked at we've gone through the website, got some general idea of what type of visualizations we may be able or may want to create using the website. We've gone through the investor relations, and now we've got some idea of what the company really does from a financial standpoint and what they really produce and how they produce it and what's really expected and what they really care most about. And those are some things that we may be creating in our mind, what visualizations may be important as well. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the current stock situation, not necessarily the annual stock, but just the current stock over the last year or so, and see, you know, what the different stock prices, what the different stock price is. Not encouraging anyone to go out there and buy Ford Motor Company stock. Just want to, as another part of our due diligence, is understanding what this organization is, how, you know, it being a Fortune 500 company, it gives us an understanding of what a Fortune 500 company is really built on. And then once we finish going through our segment on seeing what the current stock looks like, we're going to move into building the Power BI report and trying to use some of the concepts or some of the ideas that we come up with as we did the research with the website, with the investor relations, and with the current stock, to allow us to create the visualizations that come up in our mind for the Power BI report. We are over here in the finance information for Ford Motor Company. It's not actually exactly the finance, it's actually Yahoo Finance. And we are doing a little research now in regards to what the stock actually looked like. So we did a little research on the website, and we did some research on the investor relations. So the website helped us understand what the public what the general public gets to see, and then, or what the general public is looking for, and what kind of information they're trying to provide to the general public. Then the investor relations report in the investor center, as they had it on on Ford.com, allowed us to see what information the investors are looking for and what information Ford is providing to the investors. So you got the general public that's looking for just website information, seeing, you know, what can they buy, consumer information. Then you got the investor relations report that you have being provided to the security, to the SEC. And now, you know, just for the common investor, you know, what are they seeing? What are they looking for? So they come over to Yahoo Finance, and the common investor, common person that's looking to just invest into Ford Motor Company, or looking to see if Ford Motor, just see how Ford Motor Company is behaving on any given day when it comes to their stock. They'll come over to finance Yahoo or Yahoo Finance. Now, let me be clear again. I do not own any Ford stock that I know of. I don't own any Ford stock that I know of. I don't work for Ford, and I am not a financial advisor, so this is not a session on teaching you how to invest in Ford Motor Company. This is simply a session to add to your research of a company that you are going to create a Power BI report for. So we're going to use the stock information here just to do some research. We'll actually bring this data into the Power BI report as well, so that we can create visualizations using stock performance. Typically, what we're going to do when we're just using stocks inside of Power BI is we are simply just going to be using the high, the low, the close, and maybe even the volume. I don't get too much more deep into the stock information, because I don't want you to utilize or say that you're trying to utilize Power BI or analyze the stock information to make financial decisions and stock choosing decisions. Again, I do not own Ford stock, and I am not pushing you to own Ford stock. I'm not telling you not to own to buy Ford stock. I'm just saying, hey, this is research for Power BI. So we are going to go over, and we're not going to go too deep into this information, just to show you that you can come in and do some research. We can come into the finance.yahoo.com. We can go to the news section just to see what's going on with different sectors of Ford, or see what different analysts are saying when it comes to Ford. So that's pretty simple there. If we want to do a little deeper research, we can come here and click this button, but I don't pay for it. Everything that we do here is totally free, so I don't pay for the additional information, so that wouldn't work, and I can tell because it's got the little lock right here. The chart, we can click on the chart and we will be able to see, how the stock is performing over a specified period of time. Just try to make it try to make it a little bigger so we can see what time frame we're looking at. Time frame we're looking at is by the day, and as of today, I think I pulled this data today, which is as of 4/4. So as of 4/4, this is what this stock looked like by the day. So, just regular stock information, volume, bars at the bottom, pricing as to what the price was at different times of the day by the line chart. Let's see here, we've got a community area where we can just do some research, just get some opinion of what's going on within the community. Look at some of the comments when it comes to Ford. What are they talking, how they responding to the company. I don't really want to get too deep into the comments because I don't want to persuade you or dissuade you one way or the other. One thing you can see is currently the stock price is at $9.58. As I said before, when we were looking at it, I believe it may have been either on the website or in the investor relations, and the stock was somewhere around 10 bucks. I was like, wow, I didn't really understand or really didn't believe or really didn't know. I'm not gonna say understand or believe. I didn't know that you could get Ford stock for $10 for somewhere around 10 bucks. So we can see here that it's currently at $9.58. It's gone up 0.04, which is 0.42%. Not going to get too deep into the cost, into the stock cost, but bottom line is we're right at $9.58, $9.59 per share if you decided you wanted to buy some Ford stock. We can look at these statistics as well if we come over to finance.yahoo.com, and we can see what some of the financial information is, the market cap, enterprise value, trading PE, forward PE. I'm not exactly sure what trading and forward PE is. PG ratio is expected, not too sure what that is. Price, let's see, I can't really see that. Let's see. Price per sales, price per book, enterprise value, revenue, enterprise value, EBITDA. So we're digging into definitely into the revenue and the EBITDA when it comes to, we're digging into financial information, financials that will be found on the financial statement. I want to believe it's going to be the income statement where this information will be found. But again, not going to get too deep into that. Looking at the financial highlights, fiscal year end. So as I said before, you don't necessarily have to have your filings, your quarterly filings and annual filings set up to be by January 1 to December 1, but it appears in this particular case their fiscal year ends 12/31. Their most recent quarter was 12/31. So that pretty much tells us that the fiscal year ends on 12/31, so it starts on January 1. So this would be a good place to go to see when fiscal year starts and ends. Hadn't really looked at that before, but this appears to be where we can come. Profitability, profit margin 3.18%. Not gonna get too deep into that. Management effectiveness, return on assets, income statements, all that information that's on the income statements, share statistics. You can all find all that information right here. The 52-week change is minus 28.16%. 52-week high was $14.85. 52-week low is $9.06, and we know now that it's somewhere around $9.58. So it's higher than the low and it's lower than the high. It's higher than the 52-week low and lower than the 52-week high. Again, this is just somewhere where you can come and you can do your financial research. I'm going to go over to the historical data, which is going to be the data that we're going to be using inside of the Power BI report. Now, again, when we create the Power BI report, me and my team, the data and the data sets that are being used in the Power BI report is not actual data. It's data that we created for a company that would be the data that we created for the simulation of a company that's similar to Ford Motor Company, but it is not actual data of any company. We made up all that data. The only data that is real is going to be the data of the historical data, which you can find right here, the historical data. The historical stock data. This is data that will actually be used inside of the Power BI report or inside of the data view. You'll be able to see this particular data, but all the other data we are not going to, all of the other data is all data that we made up. This data here, the historical data, is data that will go back from April 4th, 2025, which is as of today, and we'll go all the way back to, I would believe, April 3rd, 2024, I believe. Yeah, April 5th, 2024. So it goes back 365 days, if that's an actual count of 365 days, or somewhere fairly close to that 365 day mark. It's going to go back a year. So what I want to do now is I'm going to come back up to the top of this historical data, this stock information, and I want to see, you know, I know that the current stock is at $9.58, but I'm going to look and see what the close was on previous days. $9.58 as of today. It was $10.03 at one point. Looked like $10.29 was at a high at some point. We're at $9, $9.36, $9.34, $9.36, $9.21. $10.08, $10.16, $10.21, $10.38 is the current high that I'm seeing as far as a close within the last 365 days. We already know we went to the, let's see, we got $10 and I thought I saw there $10.56. But we've already seen the financial information and said, hey, this is what the 365 day low is, 365 day high. So here we have $11.23 as the high. So it has been as high as $11.23, $11.24 within the last 365 days. I see 1072, 1045, 1056, And again, we're currently at that $9, or the company is currently at that $9.58 mark, $11.27. So we're just going through, we're just going through all the days. $12.98 currently is what I am seeing as that 365-day high. And again, this is just doing an eyeball test. And this is just on a close basis. It could have been higher or lower throughout the day. $13.06, April 5th, $13.28, and currently it's at $9.58. So we've done a real quick sweep through of the current, the historical stock costs. We see also that dividends were paid out, and the dividends that were paid out were 15-cent dividends on August 7th. We're not necessarily going to be doing anything with the dividends, but just wanted to give you some idea of what that meant. For those guys who didn't know, it looks like the dividends was paid out on August 7th, and dividends probably were paid out 3 months later, if I had to guess. February 18th, looks like dividends were at 30 cents, and I believe that would be 30 cents a share. So however many shares you own, you would get 30 cents paid back to you by Ford. Again, I'm not a November 7th, so August, September, October, November. So November 7th, it was 15-cent dividends, and February 18th, dividends were 30 cents per share. Again, like I said, I'm not a financial guru or financial expert. I believe that's how we would be reading it. That's how we would be understanding it and seeing that Ford pays back dividends in addition to what your earnings are or earnings are not in regards to your stock values. So with that said, we have researched Ford Motor Company using the website, and we've gone through the website and we've researched all the things that we think, and we think we come up with the models and stuff like that, which really jumps out at me, and the cost of the models and the sales price and stuff like that. Then we went over to Investor Center. Typically it's called the Investor Relations, but we went over to the Ford Investor Center. And in the Ford Investor Center, we got an idea of what information Ford provides to the SEC that is available to the investor. And even if you're not an investor, you can go over, just like we did, to an Investor Center, and you can see what Ford provides as filings to the SEC and to the investor. Then we came over here to the Yahoo Finance. And we see now what the different stock values are, what the stock prices are for Ford over the past year. In addition to, we found other areas where we can do additional research here on Yahoo Finance to get a better understanding of Ford, what Ford does, and what the general public actually feels about Ford and the investment of Ford going into the community section here in Yahoo Finance. With that said, now we are going to jump over into the Power BI portion, and we are going over into the Power BI portion of this class, and we are going to learn how to create a Power BI report using a company similar to Ford. Again, this is not an actual Ford Power BI. This is a report that myself and my team created the data sets in order to build out the report, and then we pulled in the data from Yahoo Finance for the historical data of the stocks, so that we would actually be able to have actual information to pull in and show in visualizations. So with that said, now we are going to jump over into the stock portion. We're not the stock portion. We're going to jump over into the Power BI portion, and we are going to start beating out and building up this Power BI report. So here we go, on to the good part. Getting started here on the Power BI report. What we're going to do is we are going to, let me make sure. Didn't work. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go over and we're going to review look at the model, look at the tables we have in, but first let's look at the data view and see. Let's see. look at what data we have in this report. If we look here, I have some measures that I have already created to save us some time, but these are measures that we will use. These are measures that we will use in the report here a little later as we begin to build out, the formatting of the table and all the real estate is good. Got the model percentage, total count. Let's see, model percent of total sales, total sale price by state, total sale price by region, total sales by sales rep. Here is model percentage by model percentage of total sales price by state, total sale price by region, and total sales by rep. I just want to create some measures that I would typically use in a project such as this one. Excuse me, grab me a bottle of water. All this talking. Then let's take a look at the tables that we have. We've got a current stock table, which is the stock from the Yahoo Finance. Get the current stock table from the Yahoo Finance. It's actually April 3rd rather than April 4th is the end date. So I actually picked this table up yesterday as opposed to picking it up today. So, I know I said the table would be current as of April 4th, but so it'll go from April 3rd, 2025 back 365 days to April 4th, 2024. And we have our Ford dealers table, which shows all of the dealers here. Well, not all of the dealers, but the dealers that we're using. Let's see here. We have the Ford models, which is the models that we'll be using in this Power BI report. Would be the F-150, the Mustang, the Escape, the Explorer, the Bronco, the Ranger, the Mustang Mach-E, and the Maverick. If you remember, we spoke about models on the website, but we didn't talk about all of these guys. But of course, we know that these are Ford models. We also have Ford sales transaction table, when sales were being made and dates of those sales being made. And we have a regions table, which is very important because why is it not coming up? Oh, it's actually outside of our area here, preview area. You may be able to see it. It's outside of my preview area. But the regions that we have is the Midwest, Southeast, West Coast, Central, and Northeast. And each one of the regions would be associated with a state. So these are all the tables. So this is one of the first things that I would do coming in when I create a Power BI report. Now, I'll go back to the Ford current stock table. And what I'm looking for now is to make sure that the titles in the titles for the columns are all, in the header. So we've got date, open, high, low, close, adjusted close, and volume. If they were not in the actual header, and we'll probably see it in another one of the other tables, but what would happen is it'll be listed as one of the values instead of one of the columns, and it'll just say maybe column 1, column 2, column 3. In this particular case, we're good. So I'm going to go down to the next table, And the next table is going to be the Ford dealers table. I come to the Ford dealers table, and here we can see we have dealer ID should be the column header. Given that it's not the column header, what we're going to do is we're going to go over to transform data. Home, transform data, and that actually came over to my screen, so I'm gonna move this over here so we'll be able to see it. I'm gonna go to go to home. No, transform. Go to transform, and we are going to use can't see it here. Let me do something. Bring it over. It's not moving. Come on, bad boy. Yeah. Transform. There it is. I just want to see it. It's kind of small on my screen. So I've got use first row as header. So now dealer ID is going to be the title of that column, and then we have all of the dealers inside as values under dealer ID. Gonna go Ford models. And again, the model is seen as one of the values, and then the header is a column. It's called column 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight that column for that table, and we're going to say use first row as headers. So now the model is going to be the actual header. Then we're going to go to regions, and regions is already in the regions header, so we're good there. Ford transactions tables. Let's see. Go to Ford transactions table. We got transaction ID, sales date. No, hold on. That wasn't regions. Was that regions? Let me move that back over again so I can see. Bring it to a bigger screen. There we go. It wouldn't drag for me. So that's the current stock table. I know it was kind of funny. I couldn't read it on the small screen. Current stock table was already good. We already talked about that. So we'll go to Ford's transactions and transaction ID. Let's make it bigger. That's one of the reasons why I can't see it right now. So we got transaction ID, sale date, customer ID, dealer ID, model. So it appears that this table should already be correct as far as the headers. And it is. One thing to take note of when you're looking in the Power Query, and that's where we are right now, we're in Power Query. So if you see here, we have a little calendar up here that lets us know that that's already formatted as a calendar. and we have let's see. The calendar is already formatted as a calendar. The state is formatted as text. The region is formatted as text. And that'll be shown with the little ABC. The model year is actually going to be formatted as text, even though it's a number. If it was a number or a value, it would actually be formatted to where it would be adding, it would be summing, it would be aggregating that column. But it's a model year, so we're not trying to sum, we're not trying to aggregate anything. Vehicle ID is going to be text. Dealer ID, customer ID. So everything is a text except for that's in the date column, the sales date, and we can see that as a calendar, and it's showing as an actual date. It's kind of small. I'm just trying to see. Close and apply. So I'm going to bring that back, and I'm going to hit close and apply because I want everything. All the changes that we made, I want to make sure that all of that information is over. Come back over to home. Okay, now before we go any further, again, what I want to be very clear on is the data that's in here is data. The data that's in this Power BI report is data that myself and my team made up. The current stock information or the stock data, that data is actual data, it's historical data as of today, a few days ago. It's historical data, it's data that we actually pulled in from Yahoo Finance. So that data will actually be, I'm not gonna say relevant, but it would be, it's actual data that we put in. We didn't make that data up, that's data from Yahoo Finance. But again, the data from the data sets that are in here, this is data that we made up. We didn't pull this data in from the website. We didn't pull this data in from investor relations or anything like that. This is data that we made up. So just want to be super clear on that, because I don't want anyone to feel as if what they're seeing or feel as if we are, or I am misleading you when it comes to Ford Motor Company. I'm not even trying to sell you on the fact of Ford Motor Company. I'm just showing you how to create a Power BI report under the premise of Ford Motor Company being the client that you are working with. So just a quick recap. What we have here is the total sales by state in the shape map, model percentage, total cost by count or count by model in the pie chart, model percentage, total sales price by model. And we'll retitle these here in a minute, but this is just what the actual column names are. Total sales by, not column names, table names are total sales price, total sales by sales price, no, by sales rep, total sales by sales price by sales rep. Then we've got the sum of, we've got the stock price. So we got the low, the medium, and the high. But we don't want to sum. We don't want to sum stock price. We want to know what the stock price is. So rather than having, because basically what it's doing here, if we come back over to the data view and we go to stock price, let's see. Again, I'm having a little trouble trying to see all of this forward. Yeah, so here we go. We've got stock price here, open, high, low, close, and then the average close. And of course, we're looking at $9, $10, maybe $8, $7 in some places. But what it's doing, what the sum is doing is the sum is adding, for the open, it's adding everything in the open. For the high, it's adding everything in the high. For the low, it's adding everything in the low. For the close, it's adding everything in the close, and of course in the average close is adding all the values. We don't want to, that's not what so here we don't want to add those values. We want to change that from summing the price to give us the average price. So now we see that is giving us the average price of the low. We're gonna get the average price of the high, and we want to get the average price of the, I hope that's the close, and I'm not sure. So the average price of the low, the average price of the high, and we want the average price of the open. See, that didn't change. Average. Okay, now that makes more sense. Now the question is, which one do we want to show first? The low, the high, or the open? I'm going to say the closing price is probably what we want to see. So let's do Control C, Control V to create a new card, same format. And we are going to remove the close, and we are looking for remove the open, and we're going to look for the close. Bring the close in, and it's summing it again. So we're going to do average. So the average open and the average close are the same. The average low, and it doesn't have to be, that's just the way this turned out in this particular case. The average low, well, I guess if you look at it, the previous day's close is going to be the next day's high. So that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete, I'm going to take out that close, because the previous day's close is going to be the next day's open. I'm going to move this around just a little bit and say I want to show the open first, and then the high, and then the low. Do we have volume? We should have volume. Yeah, we've got volume. We want to show volume too. And of course, volume is the amount of stock shares that are out. The volume is the total number of shares that are out times the cost of the shares. So that's important as well. So for those of you who following stocks, volume is something that you want to look at. So I'm going to bring in volume as well. So again, I'm going to come back, Control C, Control V to create a new card, just to build a card the same size, same format. And I'm going to remove that low, and I am going to bring in volume, and that volume is 17 billion. Let's see, and if we do an average, 66.95 million. If I come over to that stock price again, and we can see here what that volume is. Now we're looking at it on average, but the question is on average what? It's just average based on the average of that column. So it's going to be, the price is going to be the average of the open, the price is going to be the average of the high, the price is going to be the average of the low, the average of the close, and the average of the volume. But what we know that stock prices change on a daily basis. So rather than having just a general average, we want to see this on average by date or by a time frame. So I'm not going to use day, because there are a whole lot of days. We're not looking at days. We're going to look at months, because let's see. Let's use a slicer. And the slicer that I'm looking for is right here. And I'm going to use date. So I'm going to bring date into here. So now we can find the average by a certain date range. If we wanted to find the actual price of a stock, we wouldn't necessarily come here, but we just, when we're using the Power BI report, now we're trying to see what was that average, what was that price looking like within a certain date range, and we can just slide back and forth and get that date range. I'm just gonna make this a little smaller. I think I want to make my logo a little bigger. Yeah. And I'm gonna make my cards a little bit smaller, just trying to get some real estate to work with. I've said before that I like to have, well, first of all, we need to change the sizes so we won't be able to do anything here. I've said before that I like to use no more than about 6 to 8 visuals, but in these classes, in these videos, I've been using probably somewhere around 10 visuals. So I guess I got to go back a little bit on rethink how many visuals I really like to use. Change the size, and I'm going to change something else while I'm already, well, I'm going to come back. I'm going to change the size. I'm going to change that slicer heading too. So I'm just going from a 40 font to a 25 font, because we don't need that much, that large of a font. That's coloring book style. And I'm going to come back over. I am going to, let's see, I'm going to remove this label, and I'm going to give it a title. I'm going to call it open. So I'm going to come over to title. So yeah, let me see the title. And in the title, I'm going to call it open. I'm going to bold it. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to give it a title. I'm going to call it high. I'm going to go to visual. I'm going to remove that category label. In that high, I'm going to go back and I'm going to bold it because I didn't bold it. I'm going to go to the low. I'm going to give it a title. I'm going to call it low. I'm going to bold it. I'm going to go over to the visual. I'm going to remove that label. I'm going to come to volume. I'm going to remove this label. I'm going to go over to general, and I am going to give it a title and call it volume. And I am going to bold it. I want these to be about the same size. So I'm just going to come over to properties. General, properties. And I'm going to copy. Let's see. Let's make it a little bit bigger so I can see what's going on. And see that size. Still can't see it. Oh, that's because I'm trying to get the data screen, the visualization screen to change, but it's not going to change. Let me just drag this over so I can see what that size is. 73 by 110. I'm going to actually call that 70 by 110. Couldn't see it on my screen. So I just call this 70 and the width is 110. So I'm going to change all of my cars to be the same size. 70 by 110. 70 by 110. This volume may be a little bit different because it's more text in the volume than it is in the other card. So we may have to make this a little bit wider. 110. So it worked out. Not sure. I probably want to get a volume a little bit more space though. So I'm gonna call it 120, just in case it becomes a 3-digit volume rather than a 2-digit volume. I'm just gonna try to line these guys up. That works. Not really. Just didn't. Boom. There we go. I don't really know if that worked either. Just trying to get a little aesthetic piece going on with the real estate. That looks a little better. Got my logo. I'll make my logo just a little bit bigger. Excuse me. Logo just a little bit bigger. I kind of like that. And I'm gonna bring my map over to the edge of the logo. Boom. I want that red line up here. It does right there. Then I've got my pie chart. I want to line up on the edge of the map. That red line's there. It's on the same height. So what I'm looking for here is I'm getting the red dotted lines to match. So the height of the pie chart and the side of the pie chart is matching the height of the map and the side of the map. And because I've got two visuals here, it's kind of throwing it off. So now this is going to give me a better deal. Now I can see it. The pie chart is matching the side of the logo, the side of the map, and the height and depth of the map. I'm going to bring my calendar slider up to match the height of the card logos there. And I'm going to bring in a bar chart. See, I want to do a clustered bar chart. And I want it to be on the edge of this pie chart. And I want it to be on the height of the pie chart and the map. And what I am going to be using it for is I'm going to be using the model year and the sales price. And we're going to go down to the transactions table. Let's see. This is in the stock table. We're going to close that, open up the transactions. I'm going to bring in the model year and bring that down to the y-axis. And I'm going to bring in the sales price. And we're going to put that on the x-axis. Okay. So we're getting a little bit of character now. We're getting a little bit of character. There's a lot going on here with this pie chart. We'll decide if we want to keep it here in a minute. And I am going to bring in a bar chart. And the bar chart I want to get is a clustered bar chart. So it's here. The spacing is already there. I want to line the top up with the tree map and the donut chart, and I want to line the edge up with the bar chart. So it's there. And I want to line the bottom up with the tree map and the donut. So we're here. I think I missed it. There we go. And in the bar chart, in the column chart, we're going to be looking at the dealer ID and the sale price. So we're going to bring sales price into the y-axis and dealer ID into the x-axis. So now we see here we've got a lot going on. So we're going to stop with the visuals here. Now it's going to be a case of which visuals do we want to keep, which visuals do we want to get rid of. Here we've got, including the logo, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We've got 12 visualizations on this page. This is a relatively busy Power BI report. Almost turns into a coloring book when we have this many visuals. So what we are going to do is we are going to, again, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 visuals. It's pretty busy. It's pretty busy. So we've got some sales price we got sales price by state. We got percentage of total count by model, which is the number of cars being sold. Sales price by model year. Sales price by sales model. Total sales by sales rep, and sale price by dealer ID. So at the end of the day, what we're really analyzing is a sales table showing that's including the stock information. So the question is, excuse me, let me get a little drink of water here. We've got 12 visuals, again, which makes this a pretty busy page. Doesn't look real bad if we could spread out one of these visuals. So what I am going to do is the sales rep visual. I kind of like the tree map because we can select the sales rep and we can determine what we want here. I mean, everything is interacting. The slicer is only interacting with the stock price, and that could be okay. But what I'm going to do is, I really got a lot of visuals that I really want to keep. These visuals are not really lined up where they should be, so we'll figure that out here in a minute. But I am going to move the calendar slider over to the left, so we're reading from left to right. Dun, dun, dun. Man, the donut chart and the pie chart. The pie chart is percentage of total sales price by model, percentage of total count by model. In this case, I'm going to remove my pie chart. Going to remove the pie chart. I'm going to move the donut chart up. I'm going to make my state map a little bigger because the state map kind of has a type effect to it. So I'm going to give it just a little bit more real estate. And see if I can make some changes here with my donut. This is really a lot of wasted real estate here. I don't think that was a good move because that pie chart, the state map is staying the same size until I get here. So if it's going to be the same size, I don't want to waste all of that real estate because I'm wasting real estate. I'm wasting real estate up here and I'm wasting real estate down here. If it's going to remain the same size till I get to here, I can keep it here. A horizontal visualization that I'm using is the bar chart. So I can bring the bar chart under the state map and have the same real estate, get the same data that I was having anyway, using the same data. And I can, given that the bar chart is a horizontal visual, I can use that space and let's see. We need a little bit more room for the dealers. Only thing about the dealers, let's see. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can probably keep all of them if that's all the dealers. So we're able to see all the dealers. We can see all the years. This donut chart, we can, it's a little busy. But we're getting all the information. With exception of Mustang Mach-E. Now we're getting the Mustang Mach-E here. We weren't able to see the Mach-E at first. So now we're going to come over and we are going to get a tree map a little size. So it's looking a little better now. It's looking a little better. I'm going to bring this date slider back over here. And the stock information, I'm going to bring all of that back here. And for some reason, I want it to be side by side like that, connecting. So I'm going to try to say there and here and here. Then I'm going to select them all. Looks like they're on the same line now. I'm going to go to Format, and I am going to Align. And we're going to say distribute horizontally. Which is going to give us the same amount of space in between each one. This slider is a little too big. So I'm going to say slider settings, no. General properties. That should be about right. Visual. Values. Can't really see what that value is, so I need to see what that value is. The value is a 9. That's not bad. So let's see here. What can we do? Just make it a little taller. Okay, so what we have here is we've got the US map, which is total sales price, total sale price by sale, total sale price by state, model percentage total, sale price by model, total sales by sales price, sales rep by sales rep, sum of sales price by model year, sum of sales price by dealer ID. So the titles right now are all default titles, and they're using the title of the column that the columns that we're using and saying by. So it's 2 columns that we're using in each, and that's what it's calling it. So we're going to give it a bit. We're going to give these visualizations a better title here shortly. Just trying to make sure that this is how we want it. I'm going to say yes, because I think we're getting the gist of what we're really trying to get when it comes to the let's see, it's not what I wanted. When it comes to the actual visualizations of the Power BI report. I think what I want to do, I don't like having this bar chart on the same line as this column chart. So I'm going to move these visuals down to the second line trying to line that up with the bar chart. Let's do this. Let's take that off. It was getting me the same line, and I'm not sure. Oh, you know what? It's probably not going to work because this is going to force my donut to get smaller, which let's see. So let's see. So my donut gets smaller here. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and increase my bar. My bar to here, and then reduce my map. Yeah, that works out. The map had a little wiggle room we could work with. And I'm gonna bring my tree map down. It's even with all of those guys. Let's reduce the height. So now it's even with those guys. Then I'm going to bring my, I'm liking this already. Liking that feel a lot better. So I'm gonna bring my column chart here, put on the edge of my state. There, and put it at the same height as my state. There, and let's see, can I? My tree map is too there. So my column, I want to be on the edge of my tree map, and my slider, I want to be on the edge of my column. There we go. That looks a lot better. I'm feeling that. Let's see. Now the stock prices. Again, we don't have to have stock prices on the report. I just add this in because we use that as a research mechanism. Boom. Boom. So yeah, the stock price is not something you have to have in your reports. I use stock price because, again, that's part of my research, and I just want to use information I'm showing you what we're using that we research. So don't let that throw you off. These cards could be pretty much anything else dealing with this data, but we have chosen to use stock price in this particular case. Now we're going to do some formatting here, some real quick formatting. We're going to try to get our color scheme as close as we can to this Ford logo bluish color, and then we're going to try to use some related colors for our donut chart and for our tree map. So what we're going to do here is we're going to come over to visualization, and we are going to, well, first let's do this. Let's change the titles of these visualizations. So total sales price by state, total sales price by state. We're just going to call that sales by state. And sum of sale price by dealer just going to call that sales by dealer. And we have sum of sales price by model year. We're just going to call that sale by model year. We've got model percentage total, sales price by model, model percentage total, sales price by model, model percent of total, sales by model year. We're going to call this model, we're going to call this sales by model. So one is sales by year, sales by model year, and then we got sales by model, the actual model being Explorer, Mustang Mach-E, Mustang Bronco, that deal. And then sales by model years like 2021, 2022, 2023. So we're going to call this sales by model. And we are going to call this one total sales by sales rep. We're going to call this sales by sales rep. Okay. Now we are going to try to format this background. If we've selected a visual, we want to deselect the visual. We want all the visuals to be back to normal. So we're going to double click on the visual. They're all back to normal, back to default. Now we're going to go to the page. We're going to go to page information. No. Not page information. Let's see. Background. And I've done some research trying to find a color scheme with color that's, why is my cursor not moving? There we go. I found a default color that I think is pretty close to the Ford blue. So let's see if this works. Control V. It's pretty close. Now we can get a real good feel, given that we've got white backgrounds, as to how close we really did get to our visualizations being the same size or same height. So we're gonna just make that a little higher, and we're gonna select our column chart and try to get that to be on the same level as the map. We were pretty close. Yeah, we were pretty close. It's not really gonna matter in a minute once we change the colors of the backgrounds. As you will see, we're going to come to the map visual. We're going to format. We're going to go to general, let's see, effects maybe, background, and select more, change that color. And I'm going to do the same for the bar, for the column chart. General, background, more, Control V. I'm going to come to our bar chart and background, more, Control V, to our donut chart, and background, more, Control V, to our tree map, background, more, Control V. Getting a little bit of feel for this now. Come to our stock cards and background, more, Control V. For our next card, it's going to be background, more, Control V. So we're just changing all the backgrounds here on the cards to match the background so that the entire background will be the same color. Rather than doing the Control V, I can actually select that color that we've been using all the time. And it's there. I'm gonna come to the slicer, to the calendar slider, make the changes there as well. Of course, we really can't see, or really not able to see these values that well. So we're gonna change the value colors, visual, value, rather than black, we're gonna make it white. Changing all the value colors. Boom. And let's change the title colors as well. Come over to General, go to Title, and we are changing the title colors to white as well so they could pop out of there and we can see it rather than that black that's like not contrasting well against that, what's that, a deep royal or deep navy blue maybe, I don't know. Whatever that color is. So you see now we're just into the formatting phase. Now we found the visuals we want to use. We've determined the number of visuals we want to use. We took visuals out, we added visuals, we changed the location of visuals, and now it's a matter of formatting the page to get that feel, to get that professional feel that we're looking for. See here, so now we've got the titles. Now the content, the values within the X and Y axes, we want to change that as well to white because it's pretty hard to see that as well. I don't necessarily know where those colors are, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the ellipses and I am going to expand to see all colors. And when I see a color such as, that's not one that's being used, the visual border, I don't want that border to be black. I want that border to be that same, but we didn't show the border, so we don't have to worry about seeing the border. Let's see. Background, icon, text. Value colors, not necessarily seeing. That didn't change. So let's come over to the visual. Let's expand all. Now, this gray, I know I want this gray to be white. Wherever that was. I don't know, I couldn't tell where that gray was. We still got a lot of gray colors. Not seeing it very well using, there we go. There we go. And we've got one other, it's a black, Dealer ID. Okay, so with the column chart, all of our values are white when it comes to the text. We want to do the same thing with our bar chart. And this is simply so that you can make these any color you want to make them, but this is simply so that you'd be able to read against that dark navy background. That blue, that grayish color against the navy background does not show well. At least for me, not for me anyway. Anyone out there that may be colorblind, my apologies. I'm not certain on what colors you need best, but the concept would work the same for you. I have created reports before that needed to be coordinated because of colorblind. And I may be colorblind, I don't know. Let's see. We've got one value on the y-axis that needs to be white, and trying to see where that color is. Could this be it? I don't think so, because it's off. Let's go over to general. No, it's not going to be in general. It's going to be in the visual. May have to come back to it so we don't spend so much time on it. Sometimes we go away from, sometimes when you go away from a visual or a page for a while and come back, it'll pop out to you. We'll go down one more time and then we'll come back. It's not popping out at me right now. Border, this is bothering me. Where is that color? If any of you guys see the color, just send me a, if you see where if I'm passing it, just send me a message, because this is really, I said I was only do it one more time, but it's really bothering me that I'm not able to see it. Let's go over to general and see what happens here. It shouldn't be in general because it's not part of the visual. Anyway, so let's go up to the state map. The state map is all good. We've got sales by state. The column chart, sales by dealer, it is good. Let's go down to the donut chart. Come over to visual and values, we're going to change. That becomes white. I'm not going to change that right now. We'll change that later, but I'm not going to change it right now. let's see, that's gonna be the legend. So let me pull this over to mine real quick so I can see on a bigger screen where that legend is. And let's close that. Let's close that. Let's close all that extra stuff. Okay. Let's see if I can find it real quick, then I'll bring it back over. I'm not gonna make the changes before see visual. Oh, it's gonna be in legend. So I'm gonna close here. I'm gonna open legend. I'm gonna open text, and I'm going to find the white right here. Alrighty, now we're getting somewhere. Now we are getting somewhere. But where are we getting? That's a good question, but we're getting somewhere. And what I'm going to do next is I've got some colors that I want to coordinate with the colors of the logo, which is this deep blue. Not exactly sure if it is the exact color of the logo, but I am going to change the colors of the slicers so that they're not just like rainbow colors. So I'm gonna go more, Control V. So I've just got several colors that I'm going to change in the slicers. The colors that are in there, I'm going to make those colors all be colors that coordinate well with the logo. And I don't think that first one changed. Control C. C here, more options. Yeah, there we go. I'll probably change that one because that's too close to our color. Yeah. That blended in so well with the logo. I mean, it coordinated so well with the logo that it blended straight in. It was transparent. Don't necessarily want that because that makes like there's a gap in the donut. Of course, all of these blues, all of these are different colors of blue, but they're not the exact colors, so they're going to kind of work in with the color of the Ford logo. And I think this is probably a good spot again to mention that these are not exact colors used by Ford. These are colors that I just came up with, my team just came up with, that we felt probably would be good for this particular chart. We do not work for, I do not work for Ford. I am not a consultant of Ford. I do not own stock in Ford. I don't think. I do own some stock, but I'm not sure if, I don't think I own any Ford stock. Not sure if any of the funds that I'm involved in are Ford funds or have Ford stock in the funds. Ford is not giving me any money to create this presentation. This is simply just to teach you how to create a Power BI report, and using a company that is relatively popular, to where you don't have to really understand who the company is or what the company does, because we all pretty much know what Ford is and what Ford does. And that rounds out the donut chart. We want to use a similar color scheme with the sales reps, because we want the visual agent colors. Yeah, because we want the entire report to have the same effect, the same feel. So we want to use the colors that the company uses. We want to use those colors for the report in all of the different visuals. And there's probably going to be some strategy to doing it, to using those colors. They could tell you, hey, we want these colors to be associated with this type of visual and these types of KPIs. If not, you create it how you created initially, and as what a good company is going to do, they contract you out or hires you to do a job, they'll tell you, hey, don't really like that, let's change that to over here. And that's okay. What I would say is, don't be super resistant to change. I don't like that color being so close to the color that's adjacent to it, so I'm going to change it to another color. I'm going to call it, let's see. Let's go a little deeper. Yeah, call it that. And I just have these colors. Well, I'm just going into my computer. I've got colors already saved, so we don't have to go and try to find colors. That color's a little too close, so I'm going to change that as well. Make it a little bit deeper. Yeah. If I come up to my slider, I'm not necessarily able to read the dates within the slider. So I'm going to come over to the visual. I'm going to go to slider, visual, settings, header, change the header color to white. Let's see if we change these colors to white, so the slider's white. Text. Let's see. Slider settings, text, there's a border. Let me bring this back over to my page here so I can see. Slider heading, there we go, values. Let's bring it back over so you can see what I'm doing here. And you could have sent me a text message and said, hey, send values, bro. Won't hurt my feelings. There we go. Okay. So I think you guys get it. If we select the state, sales by state, it affects, it shows the interactions between sales by model year, it shows sales by model, sales by sales rep, sales by dealer. If we select a dealer, it shows us where that dealer is making sales to customers in different states. The sales by model years, sales by model, sales by sales price. The only thing that the calendar really is being used for right now is the stock. We can, we can use the stock to show dates, but based on the data that we have, it really wasn't I wouldn't say good data, but it really wasn't data that had a lot of dates in it. So we got, let's see, transactions. So our dates, we only had a couple of years that were in our date, in our years, well, in our date table, which is associated with the calendar, which then doesn't give us a whole lot of information. So what I wanted to do was show you show you a lot of things we can do within this report, because we didn't have a lot of date information. So the only thing given that we were using the stock information, I wanted to show you the dates, using how to use dates within the report. So that pretty much wraps up what we are looking at here, creating a Power BI report using a Fortune 500 company. So if you have any questions, you can shoot me over a message within the class portal. I will definitely get back to you. If you got any suggestions, please let me know as well. I mean, I definitely like to take suggestions. A lot of the things that we have transitioned to is because of some of the questions and some of the suggestions that you have made here as of recently. So with that said, we are done here. I thank you for joining in. I look forward to seeing you win again in the next video.